was the first car on the course, then another Alfa, the lone Ferrari, 2 more Alfas, and the rest of the field. So I had an open road ahead. The Sirocco wind from Africa had covered the course with a thin film of dust, and I was slipping and sliding all over the road. But by the time I reached the town of Colosano, I'd built up a lead of 30 seconds over the second Alfa. Everything on the car had been handling perfectly, and then in the town of Campo-Felice, the engine broke.
So we are picking up the cars in Palermo Harbor. It took some time to get the authorities to release the cars, and they insisted my car couldn't start. The battery was dead or something, but really they just forgot the master switch. It started right away. So the cars are the Spider, the Giulietta, and the Volkswagen Hunt car. And the Giulia Toyota Coupe and the Duetto. Fantastic. After a full day of traveling by plane from Copenhagen via Milano, we were all very eager to get the cars out of the customs area. The only car that we couldn't start properly was Christian's Giulia. We had to push it into the parking lot to get some space and look into the thing. It turned out to be spark plugs. The cars had been started for short periods during the shipping from Denmark to Italy, and the plugs were all ruined. The evening traffic in Palermo is really okay. I have to show some initiative and drive with the traffic. It's not that difficult, quite interesting and exciting actually. I like it very much.
Very slowly because it's illegal. Wait for this car, and then we go straight 50 meters and take the first one on the right. 50 meters first on the right. Meters. Just stop a second to the policemen here.
Our hotel was just 100 meters down this road, but the police officers couldn't let us go that way, so they would go somewhere else and look at other things. In the meantime, we could go around the block and through some narrow streets arrive at our hotel in the high street. It was a splendid old hotel from days past, and the garage was deep in the basement under the hotel through a narrow gate and everything. Very exciting. Next morning, of course, I would have to do my drum brakes. I had them shipped from Padova, from the classic car fair I attended a couple of weeks earlier. But first we had to go into the Palermo night and taste some of the seafood that they're so famous for. Andrea and his girlfriend Ambra had arranged to go to a small restaurantino where they had very special seafood, and we were warned that most of it would be very interesting, and but everything would taste very well, and the wine would be splendid. So we ventured into the night on this nice warm evening in Palermo. autumn evening in Denmark. It's a bit cold. There's my Giulietta. There's a Volkswagen Mountain King. Maybe you remember this car or a car like it from the spring trip to the Alps. We're getting ready to ship the cars to Palermo in Sicilia, and in 3 weeks' time we'll fly down to Palermo and drive around that wonderful island, and there'll be video, obviously. Den går helt rent. Ja. Lækkert. We then escaped the morning traffic from Palermo and drove into the countryside. We were heading for Alfa Romeo Museum to see some cars and learn about the history.
Come on, I'll give you a ride on the circuit. The trick at the Targa Florio, aside from staying on the road, is to go as fast as possible for as long as possible. Fast through that one. Fast through this one. and brake all over the road for the hairpin, because you have to slow down for the hairpin anyway. Accelerate smoothly. Then tuck in round this corner, mind the little stones that cut the tyres. Fast through that one. Then apex for this one just around the corner, because you want to be on the right coming down the hill. It's fast onto the bridge because the surface is quite good. Then accelerate again for this short straight. Flat out through the right and left flick. Watch it here because the road surface changes. And again as fast as possible on the approach to the hairpin. Careful through here. On race day, these walls will be just solid with people. They'll be standing on them, sitting on them, and all you can see is legs and feet, like driving through a tunnel, almost. This is the section where I usually have my practice accidents. 2 years ago in a Porsche, I hit an Alfa Romeo service car. And then last year I hit a local. The Targa Florio really is a relic from the past. But unfortunately, I think its days are numbered. Sunday morning, and the pit area was packed with so many people it was hard to move. It seemed like half the crowd was made up of policemen, dressed to the nines. For this race, Helmut Marko was teamed with an Italian named Nanni Galli, and Helmut made no bones about the fact that he thought grown men tearing round mountain roads in racing cars was totally insane. He didn't like the race, he didn't really want to do the race, and wild horses weren't going to drag him back here again next year. Everyone starts the race at 15-second intervals. I'd drawn pole position, and at 11 o'clock, they flagged me off.
Yes, that was a totally overwhelming experience, actually being in the pits of the Targa Florio. I know this is the wrong direction, but we're heading back to the seaside for some lunch. The guy from the museum and his friends, they have had been restoring the area for some years now, and they really had the spirit. The restaurant was confiscated from the mafia for the benefit and the goods of the Sicilian people, and we heard from some of the staff that it had been used by the drivers back in time, so this was a very exciting place to be. This is where Taccio and Achille and Sterling and Juan Manuel would have had their dinner and their breakfast before heading out for the Targa Florio back in the days. Now, coffee in Italy is almost religious. Like, for instance, you're not supposed to use milk after 10 o'clock.
You like some latte macchiato or caffè macchiato? What would you like? Latte macchiato.
But that's totally wrong, right?
No, it's not wrong.
It's not wrong? No. Okay. Latte macchiato.
Latte macchiato. Okay, you will like.
They're missing the Giulietta. Maybe I should keep in mind. Don't do it. The experience from the spring drive in the Alps taught us that we had to assemble for some briefings.
Nu kører vi. Prøv lige at høre her. Se på det her kort. Nu er vi her. Vi er her nu, ikke? Så nu kører vi lige lidt tilbage af landevejen og fanger motorvejen. Der er lidt der, ikke? Ja. Catania ligger her. Så kører vi lige et lille bitte stykke af motorvejen. Det er den der lodrette del der. Ja, ikke også? Ned til det, der hedder Gelato. Der drejer vi af motorvejen, og så stopper alle der. Der løser vi lige af samme igen. For at fortsætte af den landvej rundt om hele Nationalparken, som er takker på den store bane.
Ja, så fortsætter vi hen den vej rundt.
Lige præcis.
Yes, og det er henne omkring den.
Ja, det er der, vi bor.
Heading down to Gelato, we actually had to exit the motorway for a stretch because it had collapsed. It was of very poor quality because the mafia had overseen the construction of the road back in the days. But eventually we grouped up everybody and we ventured into the Parco della Madonia. It's a nature park and is actually surrounded by the old Targa Florio track. It's a very beautiful place, and the temperatures were just very comfortable for us, of course, and the weather is quite warm and nice even this late in the year. We were snaking up the roads, and I can easily imagine going very fast on these twisty roads in a race car, both let's say before the Second World War or during the 70s or 60s. The Giulietta didn't work so hard because we had to follow suit with everybody else. It's a special experience to arrive in the cities because they're all on the tops of the hills instead of like in the Alps where all the cities are in the valleys. So it's upside down kind of. And of course this was very Italian and very Sicilian, arriving in the cities and going up and up and up and up and up and up and up, up to the high up into the sky. See. Kan vi have en kaffe, eller hvad?
Ja.
As you've probably noticed, most of the filming is done by Mrs. Ultimo Stile. It was something else to have her in the car for this drive. I did bring my GoPro cameras, and it was actually on the front of my car, but for some stupid reason it didn't work. After a troublesome drive, up the hills, down the hills, up the hills again, and into the dark, we arrived at the very top of a very long and very rough road at an old abbey where they produced wine. A wonderful place to stay and a wonderful place to get some rest before the next day. And of course we had to taste their produce.
No, I love this. I didn't like it. Me and between. So, you don't like it. No, you just accept average.
the owners of the place asked us if we could park the cars in the courtyard, because it would be a nice photo opportunity for them. And of course we agreed. So we tried to sneak in the cars without waking up the other guests in the hotel. And it was also for us, of course, a special occasion. And while I had some fun with the rest of the guys taking photographs of our cars in the courtyard, Mrs. Ultimo Stile went somewhere else. Let's say she has some other interests than I have. The second day of our trip would take us across the island over an outlet mall in the middle of Sicily through to Etna, the tallest volcano in Europe at 3,300 meters. And we took the motorway, of course, to get across the island as fast as possible, while not losing the opportunity to take in the wonderful views. And we would end up at Taormina on the coast towards the toe of the Italian boot. Driving the motorways in Italy is a bumpy experience and very special indeed. But other roads are very scenic and very exciting to drive. At the outlets, Donna Ultimo Stile went straight for Etro of Milano. It's an old fabric weaver's family from Milano, and I must admit it was a fabulous place to be. We spent the full 2 hours in that store. After rounding up all the women from their special stores in the outlet, we continued our trip, and I must say that Andrea really planned a fantastic route. We saw many kinds of landscapes of Sicily. This second day took us to the southeast corner of the island, and we were planning to attack the Etna volcano from the south side, arriving at the Refugio in about 2 kilometers height. Closing in on the volcano is a very special thing. The landscape gets more and more dramatic, and just looking at that big thing in the horizon is quite frightening. It's a big mountain. We saw some very nice landscapes, but I must say that we also saw that the Sicilians don't really get the garbage thing. In several places it looks like a garbage truck just dumped a load on the roadside. I don't get it. It's such a beautiful place. Maybe it's the mafia, who knows? As we approached the thinner air up on the side of the volcano, the little Giulietta engine started to struggle. But it was really a lot of fun. And you know, there's only one thing to do if you're struggling: go faster. So that's what we did.
På? Du er på, skat. Nå. Nu er vi har lige været oppe på Etna, på Refugio, et eller andet. Og det var så 1900 meter op. Og det var sgu lidt koldt, selv her på Sicilien. Og nu har vi startet turen ned af Etna igen. Og det vil sige, at vi har cirka en 50 km til Taormina og en times kørsel. Og
hele ellingeflokken kører efter hønemor ude foran. Og lige foran i duettoen kører Jan og Kirsten. Og foran dem kører Christian og Martin i Giuliaen. Og hvem har vi så? Så har vi Nikolaj og Peter i jagtvognen. Og så er der en ubekendt størrelse i form af en panda. Hvad fanden er jo den her vores rækker? Nå, det er jo offentlig vej. Og så længere fremme kører Jørgen og Karin i Spider V6'eren, den sorte. Den kan vi ikke se lige nu, men det kan vi måske lidt. Nej, ikke rigtigt. Nå. Og så kan vi se bagud, hvis vi kan komme til at se noget der. Og så er Andrea og Amra Vejler forrest i den her svanse. Men bag kan man se noget gennem bagruden i det hele taget.
Nej, det kan man ikke.
Og bag har vi i hvert fald Per og Ulla i Giuliettaen. Og roden den er desværre dukket helt til nu, så skal vi have den ud af vinduet. Så hjælper det eksperiment. Nej, ledningen er ikke lang nok.
Nej, det er den ikke. Så bliver det på hovedet.
Ja. Nej, det går ikke. Det finder vi ud af. Nå. Men i hvert fald så, prøv at se udsigten. Det er sgu da flot.
Det er virkelig
kraftigt med opfrisk. Det er vel noget sødpindsvin.
Pizza. All this Sicilian driving up and down the hills has really taken a toll on my exhaust. I think my silencers are burned through. Listen to this. Det er mere indsigt, så må sige, og oplevelse. Sicilia is right at the heart of the Mediterranean Ocean, and for that reason every known and famous civilization has ruled over the island. The Phoenicians back in time, the Greeks with their great thinkers and philosophers, and of course the Romans, even the Arabs. And all over the island there's evidence from all these different periods. And of course we took a look at that also. In the afternoon, Donna Ultima Stile and I in the Giulietta, and Nikolai and Peter in the Volkswagen went for a swim in the ocean. Nice big waves on the south coast facing the African coast. And then Donna Ultima Stile and I, we went on our own and arrived at the next hotel before it was dark for once. And we settled in nice and easy, while some of the other guys had some problems. Yes, the otherwise very well-maintained Julia of Christian finally packed up and had some gasoline problems. We had to leave it behind. We took some time and waited for everybody else, and then we arrived at the best winery, Alessandro's at Campo Reale.
The smallest barrels, which contains 225 liters. The most are Tourneau. Every time we get a challenge with a grape, because when you make blend, you can, come dire, correggere i difetti. Yes, you can adjust one grape. Yes, compensation. When you decide to make a single vineyard wine, sometimes it's more difficult, you know, and it's a very exciting challenge for us. Bottles, and we make a different bottle of Vigna di Mangianova. More
This was something else. This was really good wine. And of course we brought some bottles back. Or at least I hope they're still in the car, because when I'm doing this video, the car is still on the ocean on its way from Palermo. Fingers crossed.